Going live. YouTube says we are live. Good evening. Welcome. Happy Moon Day to you all. How excited are we for this conversation? It is Monday, November 20th, and what an amazing recount we are starting to have, actually. Because it is the season for reviews, it is the season for readings, it is the season for a lot of intentions. I feel like I think a lot rides on the new moons for November and December every year, not because there's anything extra special about them, but because we tend to wait until the hustle and bustle of the holidays to be reminded of a lot of things that we wanted to do earlier on in the year, and then we're really running amok, and intentions run amok, I feel like, and intentions then translate into New Year's resolutions that we practice for a week and then never again, things like that. But I'm excited. Welcome, Peter. I'm so excited that you're here, Mr. Peter Sobey, such an amazing artist and friend, and I'm always grateful when you're here. So, sorry. I was looking at something that the YouTube is like, something new is on the screen that I hadn't seen before. But yeah, so if you're new here, if you're watching on the replay, welcome. My name is Graciela Moore. I am an ICF certified personal life coach, and I also create content and write poetry and books, and I do a lot of things, but I'm very grateful for everything that I get to do here and there. I am on all platforms, X at soemcoaching.com, TikTok at somecoaching.tt, and Instagram.songofmyself.ig, website somcoaching.com. All the links are in the bio, but let's talk about what Moon Magic and Mindfulness with Grace is in anticipation to the publication of next year's agenda. And then we're going to dive into where we are this week. But if you're new here, then this is the great opportunity to find out, why is this called what it is, and what is it about it that I like so much? In Moon Magic and Mindfulness with Grace, I like to discuss where the moon is every day, because it switches from sign to sign every 2 to 3 days. And every time it shifts into a new sign, there's a new energy. And if you are neurodivergent, empath, highly sensitive person, or just spiritual, into energy, meditation, yoga, esotericism, etc., if you're any spiritual, then the moon corresponds to our emotional self, whereas the sun corresponds to our identity, and our intellectual. So think about the brain, the sun, and the heart, the moon. And so as a highly sensitive empath, right, special needs mom, life coach, and just partner at large, Cancer moon, which means I'm very driven to nurture even when I don't intend to. I really consider emotional intelligence one of the greatest tools that us sensitives can have on our tool belt when it comes to experiencing the world at large, and maneuvering the situations that we encounter that non-sensitive people can probably just thrive or glide right through, but sensitive people, neurodivergents, empaths, etc., will have a harder time making sense of it all. Now, the goal is to be aware. The goal is to be present at all times. And the only way to achieve those goals is to practice, right? The only way to get to emotional mastery and to be a master at that, right, is to put the work in to accumulate those hours, right? Don't they say that an expert has to do 10,000 hours of work? So I don't think we've had 10,000 hours of this show yet. So maybe we have put in the work already, but probably not, right? And so the goal of this weekly conversation is to keep track of previous conversations, right? And to continue to design a specific intention for the future, because we cannot expect anything really, right? We can envision the result, but ultimately there's a lot of things that are out of our control when it comes to the end result of things, and that's understandable. And that's part of that practice, right? That's part of that emotional mastery. Is if you're going to put in the work 100%, if you're going to set the intentions, if you're going to gather the tools and gather the resources, if you're going to educate yourself however way, right? Like check all the boxes of the things you want to do, and that is your goal. What's going to happen within yourself and to yourself mentally, spiritually, and emotionally if the end result is not what you wanted? So that's the goal, to just, right, remain present. And grief is always a part of it. Grief comes in waves, and grief is just something that I feel like we have to accept that we live with. It's not something that we have to avoid or deny, or even pretend like it just doesn't happen. And then kind of, you see, all of those three things I just said, since they sound kind of self-sabotaging to me, right? If I'm just going to pretend that death is not a thing, that sounds like me self-sabotaging myself, because death will happen. And then what am I going to do, right? And so, hello, Cecilia says present. Welcome. Um, I'm babbling, but the point is the moon is our emotions. And in this conversation, we dive into the logic of all those things. And my goal as a coach and a friend is for us to be okay, for us to have those difficult conversations, for us to encounter difficult people or encounter difficult situations, and for us to sit in the knowledge that we have done the work, to sit in the peace that comes from doing the work, to thrive in the energy that comes from knowing what you know and doing what you do on a continual basis. And so that's why we meet every moon day. And magic is combining all of those things. When you put everything together, what do you get? An end result. And I don't think magic as a lore or as a thing, whatever you want to call it, I don't think magic has ever claimed to be perfect, right? Magic has never claimed, to my knowledge, and if I am mistaken, then please point me in the direction of anybody that would have ever said that magic is perfect, right? The a work of magic, ding, ends up being perfect. We're not talking about movies here. We're talking about real life, right? Lots of variants and absolutely lots of different ways that something can go array or wrong, because it's not all just in our control and it doesn't all depend just on us. So magic is putting all of it together, the effort, the resources, the intention, so on and so forth. And mindfulness is really one of the biggest ingredients. And of course, grace is the glue that holds everything together, in my opinion, right? Without giving myself grace, I would be diving into negative self-talk. Hello, Ron. Welcome. Without grace, I wouldn't be compassionate to others. I wouldn't be able to hold space for anyone, right? Without grace, I wouldn't be able to handle the special needs of my child, right? Like, feel like grace, it may be one of those things that we don't talk about enough as well, right? It's it's a state of being, or is an energy, or it's just a knowing as well. And putting all of those things together, that's really what this conversation is always about. And we dive into the astrology as well, depending on what's going on. I like to bring the highlights that I feel like are really going to make a difference, like when Mercury goes retrograde, or you shouldn't do this, or you shouldn't do that. And I say it in quotations because in the end, you can do what you want. I'm not going to tell you what to do, right? And in the end, I the astrology, I won't even say I say, the astrology may say for you to avoid getting on a plane, and you may get on a plane and nothing happen, right? So it's like at the end of the day is if it resonates, great, and if it doesn't, then move along, right? Because I think that just applies to everyone and it applies to everything as well. So here we are. It is Moon Day, November 20th. We have a full moon, right? Yes, full moon happening next week in a mutable sign. And we are talking about mutable signs this week because Saturn and the Sun are going to shift into Sagittarius as well as Mars. And so Sagittarius is mutable. And then the full moon next week is happening in Gemini. And mutable signs are what the word mutable implies. They shapeshift, it's about fluidity, it's about boundless, it's about just jumping from one place to the next. And if you read the title of the live, it says, what is the one thing that you should be focusing on this week? And Chani Nicholas on her Astrology of the Week podcast worded it beautifully, but I like to always go back to one of my favorite books I read first ever when I got my real estate license, which is The One Thing by Gary Keller. And in this book, you learn that you may have a 10-item to-do list. That's fine. If a to-do list works for you, good for you. Continue doing whatever works for you. But at the same time, I'll speak for myself. I don't really do a to-do list. I have my agenda and I'll figure out the timing of what I want to do in a day, right? Even if the timing ends up being discombobulated. And that's what I like about this agenda. But if you do a to-do list, the point of the book is to learn and to practice what is the one thing that is absolutely, what's the word? Absolutely imperative that I do right now, right? And most of the time, we tend to think that the one thing that could really move us along with the ultimate goal that we have is a task. But sometimes the one thing that you could really do for yourself or for your family or for your goals, your lifelong goals or your next month goals or your 2 hours from now goals is take a break. So what do you do then? And this weekend, we just had Mars having a Cassini with the Sun, which means they're at such a perfect angle off each other that they complement each other as opposed to anything else. And we may have felt a very innate to take action and to do a lot this past weekend. I don't know if you felt it. I certainly did. And I was cleaning today at 7 a.m. What? Literally. So I'm still going through that. And Mars is going to be in Scorpio's last degree tomorrow. And there's a lot of action that may be prompted, I feel like, because it's like Scorpio's, how can I word it in a way that even makes sense to me? Because that last degree of every sign as a planet moves from one sign to the next, right? After Scorpio, Mars is going to be in Sagittarius for the next 2 years. So this is also very important to kind of bookmark, right? We're in 2 years, we're going to wonder, where were you when the past 2 years started? And that's right now, right? So, with Mars being in that last degree of Scorpio, it's almost like Scorpio's very last attempt to connect with Mars, right? And so when you're looking at what does that connection mean, or what does that connection prompt, you have to look at what does that planet stand for. So that planet corresponds with anger, defensiveness, war, moving vehicles as well, right? So cars, machinery, computers. No, I think that's Mercury. Our body is also governed by Mars. And just like the whole zodiac is like in our body, and that's a whole nother conversation we're not going to get to right now. Every planet also governs just something on the physical realm. And then you take Scorpio, which really wants to scrape the bottom of the barrel. And what's in the bottom of your barrel? Shame, fear, dishonor, deceit, faithlessness, hopelessness, whatever is at the bottom of your barrel. That's what Scorpio wants to stir up. And I was revisiting and reviewing Scorpio season of last year. And for me, a lot of the insights that Scorpio brought came, and it happened again this year. Last year, though, a lot of the things that Scorpio was scraping at the bottom of my barrel during Scorpio season last year all had to do with childhood trauma. So it would come as a flashback, literally. I would see myself back in that moment, and then it would all make sense. I would make a connection. I would connect two dots and say, oh, that's what that was. I experienced that a lot during last Scorpio season. And this Scorpio season, it's been similar, but it's almost like, yes, Scorpio scrapes. That's right. It's almost like I moved on from early childhood last year. And in this year, every time I received a memory in the past month, it's all been an elementary school memory. And I find that so interesting. I find it even more interesting that I have all these notes and that I keep track of all these things. And it's like, is this really the one thing I should be doing? Maybe not, but I'm still going to do it, right? No, but for real. The thing about the mutable signs this week is that it's kind of hard to stay within the bounds because they're all over the place. And so my hope is that we can all reach to our tools, emotional intelligence, meditation, mindfulness, step out of the office to breathe fresh air. What do you need to do to keep yourself accountable to actually do that? Figure it out and then do it, right? Because this week I feel like with mutable signs and big placements like Saturn and the Sun and Mars, these are big planets. When I say big planets, I don't mean in size. I mean, they're planets that really influence, and they all do, right? What am I saying? They all do. But the point is that I don't want anyone to burn out, right? I don't want to burn out, which is why I love that we're having this conversation now, because now I know that if I feel overwhelmed because I don't know what to focus on, it may not be, and this is for you all, right? It may not be that you're neurodivergent or ADHD. It may be that the planets are doing their thing. And what is the one thing that you can focus on so that then you can just make it through the day and hopefully move that wheel along? Now, on Wednesday, on the 22nd, 22nd, doubles, we enter Sagittarius season. And that is the season to really get in that gear to finish off the year strong. Of course, we don't finish the year until Capricorn season. I get that. But Sagittarius is very goal oriented, right? I like to think of that archer symbol of it. And everything that has happened during Scorpio season, Mars has been in Scorpio this whole time. I'm hoping that we will then take action with the support of the Sun being in Sagittarius next season, right? Towards even deeper growth. I don't know if that makes sense when I say that, but when I mean deeper growth is there's no doubt that we're always growing. There is no doubt that we're evolving, whether we want to or not, but it's deeper because we're doing it on purpose. It's deeper because we're making sure that we are taking action and moving that along. And, you know, change doesn't seem, it doesn't look that obvious from the outside. Sometimes people may not even notice that you have changed. People may not even notice that you have made changes. But if you have, then like Cecilia would say, kudos to you, because every little change is one of those pebbles in the pile of good things happening. Every little just step that we take. This is what I was talking about earlier in the morning call today, because Christmas is here, fa la la la, Christmas is here, blah 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 blah, and it's everywhere. It is snowing in a lot of places already, and people are decorating. I started decorating myself. My child is super excited. How can I not, right? Like, he sees Christmas everywhere we go. So we started decorating already. And I'm looking at all the decorations and I'm looking at all the fake snow because we're in Florida. So let's be honest. And I am reminded that it is still fall. We're not in winter yet, right? And it's okay. We don't have to wait until, right, the winter solstice to decorate. That seems kind of silly, especially in places where it's already snowing. It is really dark already. And part of the whole point of Christmas lights is to bring more light into the home because there's longer nights, right? That was actually the original intention of all these things. It wasn't vanity or competition or just, consumerism or trends. It was about people bringing light into their home because it was really dark, right? Ron loves Christmas. That's right. Ron is our correspondent Capricorn with a birthday late December. So we're very excited for that. So it is still fall. And so the reminder today, and I thought about it all day, and this is why I even haven't started discussing the moon and where it is this week. I've been pondering these things to share with you all day long. And, life may not be day by day and life may not be week by week, but it is definitely one season at a time. So even though we're super excited, right? It's like, oh my gosh, Christmas, something to look forward to. Let's decorate, right? We started decorating out there, but in here, it's still fall, right? My little pumpkins, cute little pumpkins are still up, right? Because that's still the harvest. And so, with the mindset of taking it one season at a time, let's not forget to celebrate what we have harvested. That's why this is the season for reviews. That's what I was saying earlier. I had a wonderful review with our mutual friend Rowena, who watches on the replay from precious and beautiful Australia. And it was wonderful to connect with her and to speak about everything that's happened this year, right? I have my clients on reviews and readings all through the month of December. And this is something that I do myself. I'm already reviewing. I'm thinking, what were the things, what were the highlights this year that I would really like to kind of squeeze because of content, because of just it's good for my soul. I want to relive it. I don't want it to end, so on and so forth. What were the lessons? What were the moments where I felt really stuck? This is what I love about journaling, which is a mindfulness exercise, right? That I can look back and look at the patterns. And this year has been, for me, a few of the reasons why I got stuck in certain moments or in certain plateaus of the year was because I was confronted with something that I felt like was kind of really making me grow up a little bit more. And I didn't want to, right? It's like those moments of why is this happening to me? Not in a victim kind of way, not necessarily Cecilia saying poor Ron gets cold this year. No, he doesn't. It's not necessarily why is this happening to me in a victim kind of mentality. It's more as in, why is this even here to begin with? Like, not just for me, but for anybody. Like, nobody has time for this. Or what a slap in the face this is. I do not want to deal with it right now, right? Like, we all have those moments. And if no one is acknowledging that you have those moments, then allow me to acknowledge that, because we all have those moments of, ugh, I don't want to deal with this right now. And I'm not talking about the dishes and how I never want to deal with that. I'm talking about things that happen to family, friends, or even ourselves that we're like, can I just crawl under my bed and stay there and not come out and never do it, right? Those moments. And I had a few of those moments this year. And looking back on them, I really want to figure out how to just flow a little bit better next time. And this practice allows me to kind of forecast that they will come up again. Because if I was stuck when they came up this year, then I didn't really learn any lesson. So they're going to come up again. And just because we grow and just because we are evolving, we're going to continue to be faced with things that we're going to look at and be like, no, please, not today. But if it's not today, it might come up again, right? So I'm very excited. I am late December Capricorn. That's right. Peter Sobe does have a birthday in December as well. So we will be celebrating together. Let's see. Let's look at Moon Magic and Mindfulness with Grace 2023 Manifestation Agenda / Journal. Maybe by next week, December at the latest, we will have next year's agenda in my hands. And I'm so excited. But this is this year agenda. So let's look at when. We're not going to share birthdays in the comments, so don't worry about it, y'all. But we do have Ron Perry's birthday. That's going to be on a Thursday. But we can certainly celebrate the birthday on the Moon Day episode of that week. And that would be Christmas is on a Monday. What? I'm so excited. And if you think I'm going to miss a Christmas episode just because it's Christmas, you do not know me, because my child will be asleep at the same time anyway. So why would I miss it? So I will be here on December 25th of this year. Here it is. I'm so excited. So Peter, I don't know what you're doing on Christmas Day, but I hope you can join us then. If not, we can talk about your birthday later and figure out when we will celebrate your birthday. Also, here's an idea. I miss having a guest up. I would love to have one of you up for a creative update. How about that? We can certainly have a creative update because Ron and Peter are both artists. Ron is a musician and Peter is an artist, a mouth painter. And so I would love to check in on you and put you on the hot seat like we used to do so easily in our previous host app. But still, YouTube should be easy enough. We can figure it out. Let's get to where the moon is this week, shall we? I have talked enough. I also need a sip of my water, but here we are. November 20th, go to astroseek.com if you want to see this information for myself. I mean, for yourself. I do not make it up. Peter's birthday is on December 22nd. We will definitely celebrate Christmas Day, Peter. So the moon, first quarter today. Now, the first quarter and the last quarter are both kind of important moments in the moon cycle. In this edition of the agenda, I did not specify when the first quarter moons and when the last quarter moons are. However, in next year's agenda, I do. Yay! To more astrology. And the reason why I decided to include when the first quarter is and when the last quarter is because they're both kind of not just bookends, if you would like to use them as such or treat them as such, but they're peak moments for highlights, observations, revelations, synchronicities, so on and so forth. And so if you are following the moon cycle and you want to follow or lead your life through the moon cycle, which this agenda definitely allows you to do, this is what it's for, then you might want to know, or you might actually already pay attention to when the first quarter is, which is when the moon is halfway waxed, halfway illuminated, in on its way to becoming a full moon, right? And this halfway point of today can be indeed very illuminating or revealing. And so I'm excited. We started the week with the moon in Aquarius, but by now it's already been in Pisces since 9:30 in the morning. And we have that full moon, that first quarter in Pisces all the way until Wednesday, but we finish Wednesday with the moon in Aries, fire sign. By Saturday and Sunday, we have the moon in Taurus, earth sign, moon in Taurus. I feel like a lot of us feel sleepy and nappy. I'm a Taurus, so that's usually what happens. And so, oh, Cecilia wants to know what mouth painting is. Well, I will tell you, and Peter, I hope that I don't butcher anything, although he can definitely type it out. But Peter belongs to the Mouth Painters Association of America, and that may be totally wrong, but it's for people, paraplegics and other artists who paint with their mouth because they can't paint with their hands. So he holds his brush with his mouth and he paints book covers, illustrations, children's books, and it's amazing work. And I love his art, and Peter is amazing. So there you go. I hope that made sense, Cecilia. So yeah, then we finished the week with the moon in Taurus, and by moon day it will be in Gemini, and that's when we're going to have a new moon. And that's it. That is the full moon cast for this week. This is one of those short episodes because it's not a new moon or a full moon, but we did talk about the new moon last week. So let's look at that again. We painted together on the previous episode. Here's my little Taylor Swift. And I say Taylor Swift because she's promoting a song and the color for the song is hot pink. So that's what the Taylor Swift sun is. And the seagulls are also Taylor Swift. So that's what my creativity was doing last new moon. What's really important is not so much what you paint. You could do, thank you so much, Peter. You could do stickers. You could do just black. You could literally just cover, Graciela, why do you journal and then paint over it? I'm so glad you asked. Let me tell you. In this agenda, you can write in your book every moon day. Every moon day, you get an opportunity to write, this week I will make sure to do what? This week I will create what? And creating doesn't mean content. Creating doesn't mean something physical or anything magical like that. Creating could be, I'm going to create more moments of joy. I'm going to make sure that I create more moments of mindfulness. I'm going to carve out time to work on that thing I keep putting off. You know what I mean? So that's what I mean. And I'm grateful for what? What are you grateful for? This week, I am incredibly grateful for autism moms who are currently creating content that is all about autism and being in the spectrum, because they are incredibly informative for moms like myself who have no clue where to begin or what to read or where to find it. So this week, I'm very grateful for that. And then you get an affirmation every week. We're still going to discuss this week's affirmation in a second, but every moon day you have a chance to journal, right? But you also get a chance to journal every time there's a new moon or a full moon. You have journal questions, an affirmation, and then here you get a page where you can journal. And the point of painting over it, I'm looking for a blank one so you could see. The point of painting over it is, nothing really that out there. I grew up in an unsafe environment where I couldn't express myself, and I never really felt safe to do that. And with that in mind, I would journal a lot and then cover it in paint. Lots of reasons why I covered it in paint. One, I wanted to forget all about it. So out of sight, out of mind sometimes works. And two, I didn't want anyone to see what I was writing. I wanted to go one step beyond, right? Like, not only did I learn English because I wanted to write in English because no one in my house spoke English, so I would write in English, but then I would paint it just to make sure, right? And when it came to translating that kind of trauma response, right? Because that's a trauma response. If you're painting over what you're writing because you're not safe to have other people read it, then that's a trauma response. That translated later on. And when I say later on, I'm talking 20 years later. Okay. I'm not talking like right away. 20 years later, that becomes part of my spiritual mindfulness practice. And so now I'm not sealing it or covering it in paint because I want to keep it a secret from everyone else. I'm painting over it because I want to keep it sacred for me. I don't want anybody else's eyes on what is between me and spirit. What is it between me and the universe? What is my heart's, right? My heart's truest, most raw desires or revelations, right? Or contemplations. And so during the new moon and full moon, you answer the questions, you journal whatever comes up, and then you paint over it. But I wanted to discuss the whole painting over it because I don't want anyone to get the book and feel discouraged about having to paint. You don't have to paint over anything if you don't want to. And you also don't need to do the journaling and the painting on the book. Of course, I'm going to provide you with a space for you to journal and paint on the book. But if you want to take your questions and use a little note sketch pad or a canvas to journal and paint over it, or if you don't journal, but you want to just take those questions and think about them and then paint something else just to take the time to ponder the questions, then that's absolutely fine, right? Like, I'm not going to even say that's correct or that's good or that's absolutely fine. Like, whatever, however you want to make this book your own, I definitely want you to make it your own. And then I want to see that, right? I'm so excited. So for the new moon, we had an affirmation. Every day I become better and better at honoring my truth. Whew, that one's hot. Every day I'm becoming better and better at honoring my truth, working for my dreams and manifesting peace and fulfillment. And it's difficult to do those things. So if you can affirm that for yourself, it just makes it a little bit extra, right? And then today we have great affirmations as well. I am enlightened by interactions that bring me joy and peace, like everyone on this beautiful live and everyone watching on the replay. I appreciate you so much. Please comment where you are watching from and what's something that I may have said that resonated or what questions you have. I would love to connect, so please do. And I value authentic relationships that value my insight. I value authentic relationships that value my insight. Wow. I feel like when you say those things out loud, it really makes you look at the relationships you currently have and ponder, right? Does this affirmation apply to this friendship? This affirmation, if you feel like an affirmation really, you like it and it really sits well with you, then take that affirmation to your day-to-day life and then see, does this affirmation go with my life? does this affirmation really, like, do I like it because I aspire to be this affirmation, or do I like it because it really applies right now? And the goal is for the affirmation to apply right now. Of course, do the mindfulness exercise and say the affirmation, even if it doesn't apply, but you know what I mean, right? The goal is to really sit on that feeling of, wow, this affirmation really is happening right now in my life. That really does feel really good. So that's it. I'm enlightened by interactions that bring me joy and peace, and I value authentic friendships that value my insight. I'm so grateful that that resonates, and so grateful that you're here. What a week. We have Thanksgiving. What are you grateful for? Friendsgiving was last Friday, and I'm just super grateful for this amazing year. Look at us. We have only missed 2 episodes all year. So this would have been episode 48, but it's all right. It's all good. Because did you ever think that you would be talking about the moon and astrology every moon day of this year? Honestly, if you would have asked me 2 or 3 years ago, I would have said no. But then 2 years ago, actually, when Mars entered Scorpio, a lot of things started changing and happening for me. And not so much changing, but coming back to a lot of early development. So that was interesting. Peter says, I value authentic relationships as well, especially yours. Thank you so much, Peter. I'm so grateful for you. Let's go ahead and relax. I feel like sometimes it's a bit viscerally difficult to kind of unwind after all that hype, right? This is a motivational conversation after all, and it is meant to really pump you up for the week. If I'm not accomplishing that, please let me know, because definitely with my morning calls on TikTok, and I've also been sharing them here. The morning calls are also on YouTube. With those morning calls, I'm hoping to kind of help you set the tone for the day. And of course, this conversation is definitely meant to set the tone for the week. Moon days have been the compass for my week ever since I can remember. And I would wait a lot of, like, I put things off until Monday every single weekend because they don't belong in the weekend. They belong in Monday. Like, that's how my brain works. And so it is meant to really propel us or to set the tone for the week, right? So watch out for all those mutable signs. Watch out for all that back and forth. And let's get to meditating. Music for this meditation is brought to you by Brain FM. Free trial and discount membership on the link in the bio. Let's get to meditate unguided. And just like we love it, we're going to pick the chimes and the bowls. So go ahead and settle down, both feet on the ground if you're sitting. And if you're laying down, then relax your body, stretch, do what you need. Take this moment to settle your breath. Nice and slow. And follow my lead with me. Just take a deep breath in through your nose. Deep breath in all the way. Hold it at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale through your mouth. Nice and slow. Long, extended breath out. Hold it at the end. 1, 2, 3, 4. And breathe in again through your nose. Nice and slow, deep, deep breath. Hold it at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale through your nose. through your mouth, long extended breath. Long, nice and slow. Hold it at the end. 1, 2, 3, 4. And settle down. Relax into that exhale. And as you relax with eyes open or closed, I would like to invite you to envision yourself wherever you feel the most comfortable, at peace, and loved. What place comes to mind? And in this place, right now, there's a first quarter moon shining so bright. And as you ponder its beauty and its light, suddenly, a few things start to make sense. What this person meant, what this situation happening is really about, what the lesson was in that other dramatic ordeal that you had. And with every recollection, a breath of peace, a breath of gratitude, and a breath of hope. So with me, take a deep breath in through your nose. Deep, long breath in. Hold it at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. And breathe out. Long, extended, long breath out all the way. Hold it at the end. 1, 2, 3, 4. And breathe in again through your nose. Fill your lungs. Feel as your stomach fills and your chest lifts up. Hold it at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. And breathe out. Nice and slow. Long breath out all the way. Hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4. And relax. And as you relax in that exhale, take a moment to feel the stillness of this moment and ponder. I am enlightened by interactions that bring me joy and peace. I value authentic relationships that value my insight. I am loved. I am grateful. I am so ready for a wonderful week ahead. With me, take one last breath in through your nose. Last rep of breath work. Deep breath in all the way. Hold it at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, and breathe out. Long extended breath all the way through your mouth. Long breath out. Hold it at the end. 1, 2, 3, 4, and breathe in again one last time through your nose. Long, deep breath in, nice and slow. Fill your lungs. Hold it at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, and breathe out through your mouth. Nice and slow. Long breath out. Hold it one last time. 1, 2, 3, 4, and relax. And as you relax, settle into your body. Slowly wiggle your toes. Bring your attention to the present moment and open your eyes and come back to me. And that concludes our time together. What a great conversation. Thank you so much, Peter, Ron, and Cecilia, for joining live and for participating. I'm always so grateful for you. And I will see you all next week to talk about the new book, which watch out because everything will be posted this week. And here's what's happening. We're going to have the physical copy available, right? And we're also going to have the PDF downloadable version of all of it available as well. Thank you so much, Peter. And you can also sign up to become a Patreon subscriber, support this channel with $5 a month, just a cup of coffee, less than a cup of coffee if you still support Starbucks or the Dunkin' Donuts. So I'm just saying, for less than a cup of coffee a month, you can support this channel and get a PDF mindfulness packet every single month, along with an audio meditation that you get to keep and listen to whenever. And you also get the PDF printable month by month, right? So in November, I'm sending the subscribers the PDF of the month of December. So you'll have those 3 options to get your hands on this content in just a few days. I'm so excited. Okay. So remember, you can buy the book or buy the printable PDF of the whole thing, or sign up to become a subscriber and support this channel. I'm always so grateful for all of you who have joined me on that side of content, because it's almost like the dark side of the moon, right? It's the content that not everyone else gets to see. And that just makes me really excited. Albandari, I'm so grateful that you're here, but unfortunately we are on our goodbyes because we are done with this conversation, and you are more than welcome to tune into the replay and let me know all of the details in the comments below. I love you all so much, and I will see you next moon day to talk about the full moon. Bye, everybody. Good night.